The afternoon sunlight cascaded through the kitchen windows of the Rodriguez home, casting a warm glow on Elena's perfectly arranged granite countertops. Her fingers, adorned with a delicate wedding band, chopped fresh cilantro with practiced precision. The rhythmic sound of her knife against the cutting board was a familiar melody, a soundtrack to her meticulously crafted life. Miguel would be home soon. Always punctual. Always perfect. She smiled to herself, remembering how proud she was of her husband. A top-tier corporate lawyer at Thompson and Hayes, Miguel had built a reputation for being ruthlessly effective yet impeccably dressed. Their home in the Silicon Valley suburbs reflected his success, a testament to their seemingly flawless life. Alex, their 17-year-old son, was studying in the next room. She could hear the occasional rustle of textbook pages, the soft tap of his laptop keyboard. A straight-A student, bound for Stanford, another source of her quiet pride. "Mom," Alex called out, "want me to set the table?" "Almost ready," Elena responded, her voice warm and steady. She plated the enchiladas, Miguel's favorite, each movement deliberate, each detail carefully considered. Their life was a carefully choreographed dance, morning meetings for Miguel, school for Alex, volunteer work, and home management for her. Every day followed a script she had written with love and dedication. Yet beneath the surface, something felt different. Lately, Miguel had been distant, more phone calls taken in private, more late nights at the office. When she'd ask, he'd offer smooth explanations, a big case, client demands, corporate politics. She chose to believe him. Why wouldn't she? They had 12 years of marriage, a bond she thought was unbreakable. The sound of Miguel's BMW in the driveway broke her reverie. Keys jingling, briefcase dropping, the familiar rhythm of his entrance. But today, something was off. A tension in his movements, a slight hesitation in his kiss. "Rough day?" Elena asked, serving his favorite dinner with a warm smile. Miguel's laugh was just a beat too quick. "Nothing I can't handle," he said, adjusting his perfectly knotted tie. She laughed too, a sound that echoed through their immaculate kitchen. "At least my baby has a father who works hard," she said, touching his hand. Little did Elena know that those words would become a bitter irony, that the life she believed was perfect was about to unravel in ways she could never imagine. That her son would soon reveal a secret that would shatter everything she thought she knew about her husband, her marriage, and herself. The first crack in their perfect facade was about to appear. The house was quiet save for the soft hum of Alex's laptop. Midnight had long passed, but sleep eluded him. Something had been gnawing at him for weeks, a collection of small inconsistencies that refused to align with the perfect image of his father. Miguel's laptop lay open, forgotten. After he'd fallen asleep in the living room, Alex hesitated, then moved closer. His fingers hovered over the keyboard, a moment of internal conflict burning through his conscience. Just a quick look, he told himself. The first email was innocuous, then another, and another. Patterns emerged. Financial transfers, cryptic messages, dates that didn't make sense. Bank statements revealed multiple accounts, hidden accounts. Thousands of dollars routed through intricate pathways, carefully disguised. His heart raced as he dug deeper. A series of text messages caught his eye. Intimate, familiar. Not with his mother. A woman named Sandra. 2 children mentioned. Shared vacations. Private moments captured in digital whispers that spoke of a life completely separate from their own. Alex's world tilted on its axis. His father, the man he'd idolized, the lawyer who lectured about integrity, about truth, had been living an entire life in secret. Not just an affair, an entire parallel existence. Sandra Rodriguez, 2 children, Emma, 10, and Marcus, 8. A home in Palo Alto. Shared bank accounts, school records, vacation photos, an entire family hidden in plain sight. Each document was a knife twist, each discovered detail a betrayal that cut deeper than the last. Alex's hands shook as he compiled the evidence: screenshots, bank statements, messages, a digital dossier of his father's duplicity. He knew what he had to do. Morning came, pale and unforgiving. Elena moved through her kitchen with her usual grace, preparing breakfast. Alex watched her. His mother, so trusting, so unaware of the devastation about to crash into her world. "Mom," he said, his voice steady despite the storm inside him. Elena turned, spatula in hand, a question in her eyes. "I need to show you something." The laptop screen became a window into a nightmare. Elena's perfectly maintained world crumbled frame by frame. Bank transfers, messages, photos of another family, another life Miguel had carefully constructed alongside their own. Her hand covered her mouth. Not a gasp. Not a cry. Just silence. "How long?" The words escaped her like a wounded animal. Alex's voice was clinical, detached. "At least 8 years. Maybe longer." The spatula clattered to the floor. Egg yolk spread like a broken promise. Elena's laugh came first. High, brittle, disbelieving. "At least my baby has a father," she had always said. Now those words hung in the air. A cruel joke whispered by a universe with a twisted sense of humor. The perfect life she had believed in was nothing more than an elaborate illusion. And the unraveling had only just begun. The next 48 hours were a blur of controlled chaos. Elena transformed, shedding her former self like a snake molting its skin. The vulnerable woman who had trembled at her son's revelation was gone, replaced by a calculated strategist. Her first call was to Marcus Reyes, a divorce attorney known for his ruthless precision, not the family. Lawyer, someone completely detached from their social circle. "I need everything," Elena said, her voice calm and razor-sharp. "Every financial record, every communication. I want to know the depth of this deception." Alex became her unexpected ally. His tech-savvy skills, honed through years of coding and digital research, proved invaluable. Together, they began meticulously documenting Miguel's betrayal. Bank statements revealed the extent of Miguel's duplicity. 2 separate lives, funded through intricate financial maneuvers. Offshore accounts, hidden investments, carefully laundered money that supported both families without raising immediate suspicion. "He's been planning this for years," Alex muttered, scrolling through digital evidence. Elena's transformation was methodical. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. Instead, she planned. Each piece of information became a weapon, carefully cataloged and preserved. Marcus Reyes was impressed. "Most clients come to me broken," he told Elena during their second meeting. "You're different." "I'm not a victim," she responded coldly. "I'm a strategist." The investigation revealed layers of complexity. Miguel hadn't just maintained another family, he'd created an entire parallel existence. Sandra, his other wife, was a real estate agent. Their children attended private schools. They had vacations, Christmases, birthdays, a life built on the same lies that had sustained her own marriage. Financial records showed significant investments, properties, retirement accounts, everything carefully distributed to minimize suspicion. Miguel was meticulous, a trait that would now be his downfall. Elena began building her case with surgical precision. She photographed every document, copied every digital file, created encrypted backups that Miguel could never access or destroy. "We need to be smart," she told Alex. "Emotional reactions will only give him an advantage." Their strategy evolved. They would not just expose Miguel, they would dismantle him completely. Professional reputation, social standing, financial security. Nothing would be left untouched. The local bar association would be interested in a lawyer who'd committed prolonged fraud. His corporate partners would want to know about his ethical breaches. The other family, Sandra and her children, they too were victims of his manipulation. He's compartmentalized everything, Alex explained, breaking down the digital trail. Different phones, separate email accounts, but technology always leaves traces. Elena absorbed every detail. The woman who once planned family dinners now planned a systematic destruction of her husband's entire fabricated world. Each discovery fueled her resolve. Marcus provided legal guidance. "We'll file for divorce. Full disclosure. Everything goes on record. Public record." The plan took shape. Methodical. Precise. A complete exposure of Miguel's duplicitous life. "At least my baby has a father," Elena had once said, laughing. Now, that phrase became a bitter catalyst for her revenge. Miguel had no idea what was coming. The perfect storm was forming, and he was at its epicenter. Alex looked at his mother, seeing her in a new light. Not the vulnerable housewife, but a warrior preparing for battle. "Are you ready?" he asked. Elena's smile was cold, determined. "I was born ready." The annual Thompson and Hayes corporate gala was Miguel's crown jewel, an event where Silicon Valley's legal elite gathered to celebrate their successes. Elena chose this stage for her first strategic strike. She arrived alone, wearing a deep crimson dress that commanded attention. Her posture was regal, her smile calculated. Alex had equipped her with a discreet recording device, her digital armor in this carefully planned assault. Miguel spotted her from across the room. His smile froze, a practiced mask of professional cordiality that never reached his eyes. "Elena," he approached. "This is unexpected." She laughed, a sound that cut through the ambient chatter like a razor. "Unexpected? I'm full of surprises these days." The first whispers began. Colleagues noticed. Conversations paused. Elena Rodriguez was not behaving like the typical corporate wife. She moved through the crowd with surgical precision, greeting Miguel's partners, his mentors, the very pillars of his professional world. Each interaction was a precision-guided missile. "Have you met Sandra?" she asked James Henderson, the managing partner of Thompson and Hayes. Miguel's other wife. Lovely woman. 2 beautiful children. The temperature in the room dropped. Conversations died. Phones emerged, capturing every moment. Miguel's face transformed. Panic replaced his carefully constructed composure. "Elena, we should discuss this privately." "Privately?" Her laugh was arctic. "You mean like how you've been living privately with another family for 8 years?" The room became a pressure cooker of tension. Smartphones captured every nuanced moment. Social media would ensure this night would live forever in digital infamy. James Henderson's expression was glacial. "Is this true, Rodriguez?" Elena produced documentation, bank statements, property records, birth certificates, a meticulously assembled portfolio of Miguel's duplicity. "Fraud," she said softly, "not just personal, professional." The financial records revealed something more devastating. Miguel had been using corporate resources, routing company funds through his personal accounts, expenses disguised, tax implications that would make compliance officers shudder. One by one, Miguel's professional allies stepped back. Not with anger, with a cold, calculated professional revulsion. His mentor, Robert Clark, a legend in corporate law, approached. "Explain yourself." Miguel's world was collapsing, not in a dramatic explosion, but in a precise, methodical deconstruction. Alex watched from a strategic position, monitoring digital channels. Social media was already ablaze. Local news outlets were receiving anonymous tips. The story was spreading faster than Miguel could contain it. "You've destroyed everything." Miguel whispered to Elena. No, she responded, her voice cutting. You destroyed everything. I'm simply turning on the lights. By midnight, Miguel's professional reputation lay in tatters. Thompson and Hayes was drafting a press release. His partnerships were under review. The bar association would be notified. But Elena wasn't finished. Not even close. The corporate gala was just the opening act. A warning shot across Miguel's bow. Sandra would need to know the truth. His children would need to understand. Every aspect of his carefully constructed life would be systematically dismantled. Ready for the next phase? Alex asked, standing beside his mother. Elena's smile was dangerous, calculated. We're just getting started. The Rodriguez family, or what remained of it, was going to war. And they would not stop until justice was served. The final act would take place at the California State Bar Association's annual conference, the most prestigious gathering of legal professionals in the state. Elena had orchestrated every detail with the precision of a military strategist. Miguel had been scheduled as a keynote speaker, a moment he'd anticipated for years. His presentation on ethics in corporate law now carried a bitter irony that would not go unnoticed. As he approached the podium, Elena sat in the front row. Alex was positioned strategically near the technical controls. Reporters filled the back of the conference hall, sensing something extraordinary was about to unfold. Miguel adjusted his microphone, his hands betraying the first signs of nervousness. The confident lawyer who had navigated complex corporate landscapes now looked slightly diminished. Colleagues, he began, today I want to discuss the paramount importance of ethical conduct. Elena stood suddenly. The rustle of movement silenced the room. Ethical conduct? Her voice carried with surgical precision. Let's discuss your version of ethics, Miguel. The conference hall became a pressure cooker of tension. Miguel's colleagues exchanged uncertain glances. Something was happening. Something beyond a typical conference disruption. Alex triggered the first digital salvo. A series of documents appeared on the massive projection screen behind Miguel. Bank statements, property records, communication logs. Each document meticulously annotated, each revelation more devastating than the last. 12 years, Elena declared. 12 years of systematic fraud, not just personal betrayal, but professional misconduct that strikes at the very heart of legal ethics. The documents painted a horrifying picture. Miguel had been using corporate resources to fund his double life. Client trust funds had been mysteriously redistributed. Tax filings showed intricate schemes of financial manipulation. Miguel's mentor, Robert Clark, sat stunned in the front row. The managing partners of Thompson and Hayes looked like they might be physically ill. Two families, Elena continued, two completely separate lives, funded through a complex web of financial deception that would make even the most ambitious fraudster blush. She produced affidavits, sworn statements, digital evidence that left no room for interpretation or denial. Miguel's attempts to interrupt were cut short. Each time he spoke, another piece of evidence silenced him. The projection screen became a timeline of his duplicity. Vacations with Sandra's family, school registrations for her children, separate bank accounts, hidden properties. A life constructed with meticulous, cold calculation. But this isn't just about personal betrayal, Elena said. Her voice was calm, surgical. This is about professional integrity, about the very principles this organization claims to uphold. Alex synchronized digital releases. News outlets were receiving simultaneous information. Social media exploded with real-time updates. Sandra sat in the back of the room, tears streaming down her face. Her own children were now understanding the depth of their father's betrayal. Miguel's world was being dismantled, not in a moment of passionate rage, but through a calculated, evidence-based demolition. You lectured about transparency, Elena said, about corporate responsibility, about truth. The irony was not lost on anyone. The State Bar Association representatives huddled together, their expressions a mix of shock and professional revulsion. This wasn't just a personal scandal, this was a systemic breach of professional conduct. I have documentation of financial improprieties dating back 8 years, Elena continued. Misappropriation of client funds, strategic tax evasion, fraudulent expense reporting. Each statement was accompanied by digital evidence, undeniable, precise. Miguel's world collapsed, not with a dramatic outburst, but with a systematic surgical precision that left no room for defense. His colleagues withdrew, his professional network disintegrated. His reputation, carefully constructed over decades, crumbled in minutes. You believed you could live 2 lives, Elena said. Her final statement. You were wrong. The conference hall sat in stunned silence. Cameras flashed, phones recorded. This was more than a personal confrontation. This was a public execution of a professional reputation. As Elena finished, the room erupted. Not with applause, not with anger, but with a profound collective understanding of the magnitude of betrayal they had just witnessed. Miguel stood alone at the podium, diminished, exposed, utterly defeated. Alex caught his mother's eye. A subtle nod. Mission accomplished. The Rodriguez family, Elena and Alex, had not just exposed a betrayal. They had systematically dismantled an entire fraudulent existence, revealing the true cost of deception. Justice, they had discovered, was not about revenge. It was about truth, uncompromising, absolute, and they had delivered it with devastating precision. The aftermath was a tsunami of legal and personal consequences. Miguel's law license was suspended pending a full investigation. Thompson and Hayes initiated immediate termination proceedings, with the managing partners publicly distancing themselves from his actions. The firm's reputation management team worked overtime to minimize collateral damage. The State Bar Association launched a comprehensive investigation. Miguel's entire professional history was placed under microscopic scrutiny. Every case, every client, every financial transaction became potential evidence of systemic misconduct. Sandra's world collapsed simultaneously. The revelation of Miguel's double life destroyed her sense of security. Her children, Emma and Marcus, struggled to understand how their father could have maintained such an elaborate deception. Elena's divorce proceedings were ruthlessly efficient. Marcus Reyes, her attorney, ensured that every piece of evidence was meticulously documented. Miguel would be stripped of everything: financial assets, professional standing, personal reputation. The financial settlement was unprecedented. Years of hidden assets, fraudulent fund transfers, and calculated deception worked against Miguel. Elena would be compensated not just for the betrayal, but for the systematic manipulation of their entire marriage. Alex became her primary support system. Their relationship, already strong, transformed into a partnership of mutual healing and resilience. He helped her navigate the digital landscape, managing the media attention, filtering communications, protecting her from the worst of the public scrutiny. Therapy became a crucial part of their healing process, not just for Elena, but for Alex as well. The discovery of their family's true nature had been traumatic, requiring professional guidance to process the emotional aftermath. Sandra sought her own path to healing. Through a carefully negotiated settlement, Miguel would be held financially responsible for both families he had deceived. Her children would be provided for, their future secured despite their father's moral bankruptcy. The media narrative evolved. What began as a sensational story of betrayal became a nuanced exploration of systemic deception. Elena was portrayed not as a victim, but as a strategic survivor who refused to be defined by her husband's actions. Public speaking invitations began to arrive, women's empowerment groups, legal conferences. Elena found herself becoming an unexpected voice for those who had experienced similar betrayals. "It's not about revenge," she would say in her talks. "It's about reclaiming your narrative." Miguel disappeared from public view. Disbarred, financially decimated, his carefully constructed world reduced to rubble of his own making. The Rodriguez home underwent a transformation. Elena redesigned the spaces that held memories of her previous life. Each renovation was an act of personal liberation. Alex helped, turning it into a collaborative healing process. Their relationship with extended family was complicated. Some relatives took sides. Others were simply shocked by the depth of Miguel's deception. Family gatherings became exercises in careful navigation and emotional restraint. 1 year after the exposure, Elena found herself in an unexpected place of peace. The anger had transformed into a quiet strength. She had not just survived, she had thrived. Alex watched his mother with a mixture of admiration and love. The woman who once defined herself through her husband's achievements now stood as a testament to personal resilience. "We did it," Alex said one evening as they shared dinner. Elena's smile was complex, not of victory, not of revenge, but of hard-won understanding. "No," she corrected him. "I did it. You helped me see my own strength." The legal battles continued. Miguel would spend years fighting the consequences of his actions, the financial penalties, the professional disgrace, the complete erosion of everything he had built. But for Elena, the true victory was internal. She had reclaimed her life, redefined her identity, transformed a moment of profound betrayal into a journey of personal empowerment. Her laugh, once a symbol of naive trust, now carried a different meaning. Stronger, more knowing. A sound of genuine joy that came from within. "At least my baby has a father," she had once said. Now she realized she had something far more valuable. She had herself. Completely, unapologetically. And that was everything.